This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
More Chumba Casino fan mail. Love this. It says, Dear Ryan, I love Chumba Casino. They're so much fun. I love the wild ride from the social slots to the slingo to jackpots quicker than a 6-time real spin. Everybody's finding their fun at Chumba Casino. Why don't you find out for yourself? Head to ChumbaCasino.com and enjoy hundreds of casino-style games for free with your welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So Russ, having kids is a beautiful thing, but it's also a gigantic gamble. How do you know that you're going to create a good person? The truth is, you really don't. And in the case I'm telling you today, it shows that you can be the best parent in the world and still have a total scumbag for a kid. This is the case of Chris Porco. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, my favorite true crime stories, and he reacts to them.
Do you remember when you used to let me do the intro sometimes?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. I just started doing it all the time, and I forgot to see if you wanted to do it.
I'm going to have to speak to my agent. I'm going to have to make some demands.
The earlier episodes, you do introduce the podcast. That's right. I totally forgot.
Yeah, and then you just said, I'm not letting you talk anymore. I'm the star.
No, everyone knows. Everyone knows that people like when you talk. They love your commentary.
Well, except for the 1 stars.
Except for the 1 stars. But next,
shout out to the 1 stars. I appreciate your sharing and reviewing.
Well, next, no, you don't.
No, I don't. I hope you guys stub your toe. I don't know.
Next week, you can introduce the podcast.
I hope all the ink in your pens run out whenever you really need to write something down really important.
So yeah, we're back for another episode. Russ, we don't have a lot of stuff to talk about in the beginning, really. Not a lot has happened since our last episode. We did the Kendrick Johnson case on the last episode, and it got a lot of really good feedback, a lot of mixed theories, a lot of mixed reviews about the theories and what could have happened, what couldn't have happened. Very interesting conversations. I got a lot of messages. That was definitely one of those cases that stirred the pot in a good way. That's it. There's really nothing else to say. Russ has the shout outs for the patrons this week. We got a few more people who joined the Patreon, so Russ is going to shout them out.
All right, so here it is. I was going to crack my beer and say cheers, but I already opened it, so cheers anyway. So this week's Patreons or patrons, I don't know that, so I don't know what a Twitter or tweets.
No, it's
whatever.
patrons, because they joined the Patreon, so they are patrons. Get it like patrons at a bar?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So shout out to Kim, Victoria, Jaina, Jada, Nadia, and Lou. Lou is the chicken parm king from previous episodes.
Yeah.
And I spoke about him in our Patreon feed this week because he's one of those dudes that wears his phone on his belt. And that drives me nuts. And he's not even that old. Like, bro, get with the times. Take off your New Balance that are probably tied too tight.
Poor Lou. Lou's going to have to make a guest appearance on this show. We've talked about him in numerous episodes.
Yeah. You know, like there's someone listening up like, oh, my dad wears New Balance and keeps his phone on his hip. And it's like, why? So, you know, because it's right there if you need it. But once you start going for comfort over looks, like I do a little bit of comfort over looks, but you still need a little swag, and phone hip swag is not it.
Yeah, you're a very stylish guy, I have to say. Like you are into your style.
Well, I'm from New York, and we always got to look good because we know we're better than everyone else from everywhere else. So can't no one think like, oh, we're cool as you? Like, no.
So yeah, shout out to the patrons. And
Jada's in there, and I'm just going to assume it's Jada Kiss.
Oh. I think it's a girl named Jada.
Well, that's probably true, but in my mind, it's Jada Kiss.
Oh, boy. So we have a lot of couples that listen to us, and we also have a lot of parent-child duos and even full families that listen, I found out this week.
So if you have a full family and in your house you're iPhone users and you have 4 iPhones, we're going to need 4 or 5 stars out of you guys. Just don't rate from the phone you listen.
Very true. Which I think it's so cool that like parent and child duos and siblings and families listen to us, and like Wife of Crime has become kind of a part of their way to connect. Like I find that so crazy and awesome. I love it.
That's cool. I wonder if they're like, this is just a podcast, don't repeat the things Russ says.
Maybe, yeah, because I know that there's some younger kids that listen too. So this episode is dedicated to the parent-child duo listeners that we have, but especially to the children of the parent-child duos, because you know what? If you have good parents, be good to your parents. Be good to them if they're good to you, because I'm sure they tried their best. Having kids is definitely a gamble. How do you know that you're going to have a good kid when you have one?
Be good to the parents because, like, they probably didn't want you anyway.
Oh, stop.
And, like, you know, they're like, fuck, now I have a kid. What do I do with this?
That's not true. There's so many people who plan to have kids. It doesn't even make sense.
What do you think the percentage of the people in the world are mistakes?
I would probably say 70% were planned and 30% were not mistakes. They were surprises.
I'd say 70% of us weren't wanted, and now we're here.
I don't know.
And then, but maybe not wanted might fall in the category of wasn't planned as well.
Yeah. Anyway, so how do you know when you have a kid that you're going to have a good kid, even if you're the best parent? Because this whole like nature versus nurture debate has come up so many times over the course of us making this podcast. And the fact is, you can do every single thing right as a parent and be gracious, understanding, and forgiving with your kid and still have an absolutely terrible child who treats you like garbage.
I think disciplining your kid probably keeps them from being like a terrible person as well. Like, you got to whoop them a couple times at least so they know it's possible.
Yeah, that's true. I do believe in discipline. But there are some kids that can be disciplined multiple times and it just doesn't sink in because their nature is bad.
And then you take them on like a talk show and Dr. Phil will say something to them and then the little kid will be like, catch me outside, how about that? Or you take him to the Maury show and he puts him in boot camp with,
remember those?
With the black dude with the tiniest shirt from Baby Gap and he makes his titties jump. Ain't nobody scared of him.
You remember that from Maury? Wow. You're taking me back. Yeah, the Scared Straight, like Maury episodes, and the guy would come out and scream in the little kids' faces.
Yeah.
Bad little kids.
That's some of the things you watch when you don't go to school. And the number one thing you watch when you don't go to school is The Price is Right. R.I.P. Bob Barker.
Aw. Well, the case I have for you today is about just that. About two people who had a kid, raised him right, super sweet people, but they had a psychopath for a child.
They were probably too sweet.
And no, they were just good parents. And there was nothing they could do to stop him from his evil nature. Are you ready?
Yep.
So on November 15th, 2004, in Del Mar, New York, which is near Albany, okay, a guy named Peter Porco never made it to work. This was odd for him. He was an appellate court clerk, and he never called in sick or missed a day, especially without notifying someone. So the court sent a court officer to his house to check on him after multiple attempts to call him.
In the same day?
Yeah. They tried calling him all morning, and he wasn't answering. So they sent a court officer because he's a clerk of the court, so he works there, and they were worried about him.
That's terrible. Imagine like your job sends someone to check on you. I mean, it's probably good in this situation. Like you call out and they come knock on your door. I wouldn't open.
Well, yeah. But he didn't call out. He just didn't show up. It was a no call, no show.
Well, here's a Russ fact. If my bell rings or someone knocks on the door and you didn't call, I won't even budge from my seat.
Yeah, it's true. He won't.
Just like, oh, the door. I'm like, I don't care.
I have to go answer the door.
No. And I'm like, don't answer it.
But I still do because I can't let it just ring and not see who it is.
Yeah, and then one time someone served us papers because she opened the damn door and it was like some bullshit, someone trying to like rob me. And they said I owe them $1,400 and I don't owe them shit.
So when the court officer arrived at the house, he noticed multiple drops of blood on the front porch and noticed a key still in the front door. And the door was unlocked. So the officer opened it and walked in, and immediately he saw a horrific sight. He saw Peter dead in the foyer, and blood was everywhere. When Bethlehem police arrived on scene, they determined Peter was dead and started walking through the home and investigating the crime scene. A few officers headed upstairs where they found Joan, Peter's wife, lying on the couple's blood-filled bed. And lying next to her was a large fireman's axe. She had been struck with the axe 3 times.
Damn, I'm assuming those things are heavy.
Yeah.
They got to knock down doors with those.
Exactly. She was struck 2 times in the face and once to the top of her head. According to detectives who knew the family, Joan was no longer recognizable, and her skull was cracked completely open, exposing her brain. But miraculously, Joan was alive.
What? Another not me, not today?
No,
she's not going to make it.
She makes it, but it's not a not me, not today. You'll see why later. So, as the officers were looking at her and talking about her, Joan started moving her hand, and that's how they realized that she was alive.
She probably could hear them.
She could. Paramedics immediately came to Joan's aid and quickly realized not only is she alive, but she's completely conscious. She could hear and understand everything happening.
Wow, but she couldn't move.
Well, no, she couldn't move. She was in so much pain. She was able to communicate with the medics and police through head nods. "Can you hear me, Joan?" asked one of the medics. "Yes," she nodded. The lead detective wasted no time. Some people criticized him and claimed that he was being insensitive, but he wanted to get as many answers as he could because he was sure, with the extent of Joan's injuries, that she would die at any moment. So he just started asking her questions.
Wow. So this reminds me of something I saw on the New York Post today, where like people always say like, oh, they're dead and whatever, but in the Post today, they said, I didn't read the whole article because I only read headlines, folks. You could do the rest of the research on yourself. This might be fraudulent. A UK teen declared dead begins to breathe hours before organs were donated. So I saw that on the New York Post Instagram page. Go check it out and you could tell me about it. Shoot us a message or something.
He apparently was pronounced dead and then went through the process of possibly donating his organs and then started breathing again?
Yeah. So I didn't read the story. It could just be fake news.
Well, I'll look into it. That's interesting.
But That's why Russ, I know people are going to be mad, is not an organ donor.
I hate the fact that you're not an organ donor, and I think it's ridiculous.
But you know what else you think is ridiculous?
What?
Everything I say and do. So if like that was the one thing, maybe I would like take it into consideration. But everything I say is wrong and everything I do is ridiculous.
No, I agree with you a lot.
You just disagreed with me
All
about
right, so let me tell you
disagreeing with me.
Let me tell you the questions he asked her.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you know the person who did this? Yes, she nodded. Was it a stranger? No.
That's the same question.
But he had to say it to confirm that she understands. So this is just a confirmation that she can understand what he's saying. Okay.
Oh, he needed to know.
Yeah, he needed to know that it was it.
To know she can give two separate answers, probably.
Yeah. Was it a family member? Yes, she nodded.
Oh.
Was it your son, Jonathan? No. She shook her head no. Was it your son, Christopher? Yes, she nodded.
Oh, this is why I can't have kids in the house. Them little devils will kill you in your sleep.
So Joan was then sent to Albany Medical Center, and she was directly sent to the operating room, underwent hours and hours of surgeries to stabilize her.
Was one of them a fireman?
No.
I don't think you can buy a fireman's axe.
You'll learn about the fireman's axe later.
Okay.
Although Joan answered all those questions, police did, take this with a grain of salt because they didn't know for sure if she was actually oriented because she couldn't say anything with her words. She was just nodding. So like when we in the hospital, how we know that someone is oriented to their surroundings is we ask them a series of questions and they have to answer them. We say, tell me your name, tell me your birth date, tell me where we are right now. And then we say, what year is it? Who's the president of the United States? And if they can answer all of those questions correctly, then they're oriented to their surroundings. And we know that they aren't confused. They know what's going on.
I'm oriented. I can answer all of those right now.
Great. Good job. So, they weren't taking it completely seriously because they couldn't answer. They couldn't ask her all of those questions. So they don't know for sure if she's completely oriented. So they still wanted to do a thorough investigation and not just like throw Chris Porco in jail.
Book him.
So as the investigation begins, there are some details that are a bit odd, okay? The murder weapon, the axe that you spoke about, is Peter Porco's axe, and he kept it in his own garage, okay? The alarm to the home was disarmed by an alarm code, so whoever broke in knew the code. The screen to the window was cut, but nothing was burglarized in the house and nothing was stolen. There was a key in the front door, which was odd, and the phone lines were cut. So after they investigated the scene, after, Peter Porco's body went to an autopsy, and they looked into all the DNA and forensic evidence, this is the timeline that the cops created for the night of November 15th, and it's very interesting. Are you ready?
I was ready before.
At approximately 2 a.m., an intruder entered the Porco's home, disabling the alarm with a code. Then went to the garage from inside the house to grab the axe. When the couple was sleeping, the intruder entered the bedroom and began violently hacking the couple with an axe. Peter was hit 16 times. And this was multiple times to the head and face, and they even chopped off his jaw.
Damn.
Joan was hit 3 times to the face and head, and then the intruder left. Now this part is crazy, because how did Peter end up downstairs?
Yeah, because he was hacked up, what'd you say, 16 times?
Yes.
Look at that memory.
This is how. Peter, who is not yet dead, gets up from his bed at approximately 4 a.m. and goes about his morning routine. Gets ready for work. He gets up to go pee. They know this because they find a trail of blood from his bed into the bathroom all around the toilet and the sink.
What?
They also see pee in the toilet.
How do they know he was going to work?
I'm not finished. He then puts a sweater over his bloody clothes and walks downstairs to make breakfast. He opens the front door to get the newspaper. The door locks behind him, so he goes in the potted plant near the front door and grabs a spare key to open the door. When he walks back in the house, the door closes and Peter collapses and dies from blood loss. This is so fascinating to me and like a true testament to how resilient the human body is and how amazing our brains are. So through the autopsy, they discovered that Peter gained this consciousness because the axe penetrated Peter's neocortex, which is the part of the brain that controls thought, pain, higher functioning, and reasoning. But the paleocortex, which is underneath that, wasn't touched, which means that he could go about his daily routines and do instinctual things like peeing and feeding himself and doing things that are routine that he just does every single day. Because he's been doing this same morning routine for years and years and years.
It makes me feel like we're like programmed robots. Like we program ourselves and like, I don't know, that just makes me think also like Elon Musk is coming out with that nano or what is it called? The chip he's going to put in your brain.
Yeah.
To make you like super smart and like like it seems like we're almost like programmable.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, there are daily things that you do every day and you don't even think about it. You just like do certain instinctual things every single day.
I wonder what those are if I had to think about it.
I don't know. But
you eat.
For Peter, this was his morning routine that he went about for years. And since the axe didn't penetrate that part of his brain and he wasn't dead, he just automatically got up at 4 a.m. like he did every day and went about that routine.
God damn, I hope that if that isn't programmed into me, my last thought is to go to work. That would, like, let my last thought be like, I'm going to crack this beer and it's over. Like, it's been real, folks. I'm out of here.
It's true. I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So his brain had his body perform these tasks, totally unaware that his body was mortally wounded.
He wasn't, so him getting hit with an axe 16 times didn't cause him to bleed out.
Not in that moment, no. He retained enough blood to start his daily routine until he had blood loss enough to where he collapsed and died.
If all that happened to me, I'm just giving up.
Well, his brain kind of took over, like the
he's like a zombie.
Instincts. Yeah, like so the neocortex, like I said, is the part of the brain that controls pain. So he didn't feel pain. It controls thought, higher functioning, reasoning, like why is this happening? But that whole part of his brain was chopped into, and those connections weren't being made, you know? But the one beneath it, the paleocortex, which controls your instincts, that one hadn't been penetrated, so it was still working, and the other one wasn't. It's just so amazing to me. So, anyway, based on the type of violent crime this was, and the fact that nothing was stolen, investigators determined this had to be a crime of passion and anger from someone who knew the couple. So they started looking at the Porco's sons. Jonathan was away at the time with the U.S. Navy on a submarine in the middle of the ocean. So I'd say that's a rock-solid alibi because he's on a submarine.
He was under the sea.
Exactly. His brother Chris, on the other hand, was away at college at the University of Rochester, about 3 hours north. Later in the afternoon, on the day of the murder, police received this phone call.
From Police Dispatcher Saginaw.
Hi, my name is Chris Porco. I was just called by the Times Union saying that my parents were found dead this afternoon. I was wondering if you had any information for me.
Hey, Chris, whereabouts are you?
I'm at school in Rochester, New York.
Okay, are you in a dorm there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you have a dorm name or?
It's called Monroe.
Okay. And you're hearing from the Times Union?
Yeah, they called me and said my parents were found, I guess, I don't know, they didn't say how or anything.
Let me try and find you somebody who may have some more information for you.
Okay. Now, as far as, when was the last time you said you came down and saw your parents?
About 3 weeks ago. It was on the weekend. I can't give you a date. I have to figure it out. I'm not really sure.
Okay, but about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay, and the email, what's going on with your email? You said you emailed him today, but you didn't get a response?
Yeah, I emailed him this afternoon. My dad at work.
Okay.
About college loan stuff.
Okay. You're going to go right to Albany Med?
I don't know. I don't even know where my mom is, but...
Yeah, she is at Albany Med.
Okay. Do you know her condition?
No, because I haven't talked to her. Let me give you my pager number.
Okay.
Because when you get there, I'll come and see if there's anything I can do for you.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
So now let's talk about Chris. So Chris was a college student at the University of Rochester, like you said. He had a lot of issues with his parents, especially with regards to money. Chris forged his dad's signature on multiple student loans and even made him a co-signer for a brand new 2004 yellow Jeep Wrangler.
Nice car.
Also, a year before this, Chris had broken into his parents' house and stolen a computer and some jewelry and sold it on eBay.
Oh, he's doing drugs.
But he sold it in his father's name. His father was then banned from eBay because Chris sold the items, collected the money, but never actually sent the items to the people.
This kid's doing drugs. People only start stealing shit when they're doing drugs, like stealing from loved ones.
I don't know if he's doing drugs.
Nah.
Because a lot of people
Profiled.
who knew Chris say that he really liked having status, having a lot of money, being the guy who, when they would go out to the bar, he would buy all the drinks for everybody. He would buy rounds of shots for the entire bar. He just liked having money. And
we all like having money. But
yeah.
He's doing coke in the bars, and he's supporting habits and trying to be cool too.
Maybe. So Chris stopped.
But if you like doing coke, shout out to you guys. Do coke, have fun, and don't kill nobody with a axe.
You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com, wifeofcrime1 for 15% off your first order. Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you know you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. So Chris stopped communicating with his parents months back via the phone. So they started emailing him because he wouldn't answer any of their phone calls. There were multiple email exchanges between Chris and his parents. Hey,
wait a minute. I just thought of something. A lot of kids that listen to this. Don't do drugs, kids. I don't do drugs. I just talk shit.
Exactly. Yes.
I just like to have a little drinks.
So Chris stopped communicating with his parents months back through the phone, and they started emailing him. And there were multiple email exchanges between them because he wouldn't answer their phone calls. So they just resorted to emailing him. In these emails, they said they were very disappointed in him and all the things he's been doing, forging his dad's signature for the Jeep Wrangler, because that could ruin his dad's credit. Like that's, he opened up multiple credit cards in his dad's name. He, stole their stuff and sold them on eBay.
If that's my kid, you're about to learn a tough lesson, kid. I'm telling the cops. You stole from me, and I'm no snitch neither, but it's either me beat you, or I'm going to tell the cops. And I'm going to tell the cops, and you're going to go to jail and learn this nice little lesson, you little bastard.
Well, they were very disappointed in him, but they also said they were willing to work things out if he would come back to them and they could sit down and have a real conversation and try to work things out.
And by work things out, I would mean give me my money back.
Yeah.
That'd be the only workout.
Well, Chris's parents
I'd work him out with these knuckles.
Well, Chris's parents had a pretty hefty life insurance policy.
Oh.
And police found out through cell phone records that Chris had called a financial advisor 3 weeks prior to the crime, claiming he was, quote, about to come into some money, end quote, and wanted assistance managing it.
Fun fact, Russ doesn't have life insurance because I don't want no one benefiting from my death.
Yes, you do. You have a life insurance policy.
Guys, if I die...
We both do.
Who?
Me and you have a life insurance policy. I opened it for both of us.
Guys, right there. If
How do
I
you
die,
not know this?
Because I did not open it.
I did.
What?
For me and you. I have one too, but mine is more. If I died, you get paid more than if you died.
I don't want anyone benefiting from my death.
Well, if I died, you're going to get paid more money than if you died that I would make. Just
well,
so you know.
Cancel my policy. No one's benefiting from me.
Oh, shut up, Russ. So anyway.
There's probably other people out there that listen to true crime podcasts that feel the same way I do. Like, I'm not having a life insurance because I bet having a life insurance policy increases the chance of your death by someone you know, at least by a little %. And I like to decrease my chances of something bad happening.
True. So maybe we shouldn't talk about your life insurance policy on this podcast so people know that you have one now.
Yeah, but they won't benefit. You will.
Yeah, I will. I mean, but...
This is good. This is for the public. This is recorded in the air. If something mysterious happens to me and you see Jess in a shiny car with a nice pocketbook.
Whatever.
Book her.
So, anyway. Now, detectives are obviously completely focused on Chris, which the defense will argue later in court was a huge error on their part. Because according to the defense, investigators never really looked anywhere else. They only focused on Chris.
Didn't the mom say it was him?
She did, yeah.
So it's him.
But
That's it.
Yes, but wait. So police interviewed Chris's frat brothers about the night, and they also obtained campus camera footage and interviewed toll booth workers, okay? Camera footage shows Chris leaving the campus at 10 p.m. and returned to the campus at 8:30 a.m. They also discovered that he hid his Easy Pass under his seat. They interviewed toll booth workers, and one of the workers claimed he snuck out for a smoke break at 11 o'clock. So this is why he vividly remembered this, because he's not allowed to have a smoke break, but he snuck out for one anyway. And when he did, he sees a large yellow Jeep Wrangler, which is not, a car that you can just easily forget. It's big and yellow, Jeep Wrangler.
I hate working with people that take smoke breaks.
Well,
it's the worst. You got to keep working while they get 15 minutes to feed an addiction.
Well,
Shout out to the people on this smoke break listening to the podcast.
So he remembered seeing this yellow Jeep because he was out on a smoke break and he was sneaking around because you're not supposed to. So it made it really stick out in his head. And he saw this Jeep coming really fast towards the toll booth. And it was a white kid with a baseball hat driving it. And that was up near the University of Rochester.
That's all typical Jeep Wrangler drivers, white dudes with baseball caps on.
Maybe, yeah.
I had a Wrangler.
So at another booth, a woman working the toll said she saw a yellow Jeep with a male driver wearing a cap speeding towards the booth. And it freaked her out because this was around 1 a.m. and she felt like the guy was driving way too fast. But this toll booth was close to Albany, which is very close to Chris's parents' house. Then a neighbor said he saw a yellow Jeep in the driveway of the Porco house at 4 a.m. on November 15th. They also interviewed many family members, acquaintances, and friends to get a sense of Chris's character. Many people maintain that Chris was a liar. He loved to pretend that he had a lot of money. He loved attention. He would go out with groups, like I said, and he would buy drinks for everybody because he loved to be the man. And he used to brag about his like super expensive lifestyle that he apparently had.
The whole neighborhood profiled this dude.
Yeah, exactly. So now Joan finally wakes up from her medically induced coma. And after Chris comes to see her in the hospital, she maintains that Chris is innocent, that he wasn't the one that did this. 9 months later, she even wrote a letter for publication to the Times-Union stating that her son is innocent and cops should be focused on finding the real killer of her husband. Which is so sad to me because this kid is lying to her. He's manipulating her. She guaranteed she had a traumatic brain injury. I don't know for sure if she's in her right mind or not, but whatever he is lying to her to not get caught and making her believe that he's innocent.
I didn't know that because I didn't take it as that. Just when she said it wasn't him, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, but it's because he went to visit her, and then ever since then, she's convinced it wasn't him.
I wonder, was she in her sleep when she got hit with the axe?
Yes, they were asleep.
So how do you know who did it?
She saw her son when she woke up. Like
people get knocked out from a punch from a little silly hand with flimsy fingers that are meant to play a piano. Like, but you could knock someone out cold with a punch.
But she wasn't. She was conscious when the cops showed up. Remember? She answered questions.
Oh, that's right. She woke up.
So, like...
She almost woke up dead.
She 100% knew who did it. And I know who did it. And everyone else knows who did it. But now he has come to her hospital bed and probably convinced her that it wasn't him to cover his ass.
Probably. But now there's a chink in the chain.
So now... this kid's lying and manipulating her to cover up his crimes. And despite his mom's claims, though, police are convinced it's Chris. He's arrested for murder, and the case is heard in front of a grand jury. The case has tons of circumstantial evidence, but zero physical evidence. And that's really tough for the investigators. There's no DNA at the scene that puts none of Chris's DNA at the scene to put him there. There's no blood in Chris's car from either one of his parents. There's no bloody clothes. There's no fingerprints. Nothing.
Wow, well, he's been gone for a while. They didn't catch him on the scene or in his room or anything like that. And he probably disposed of the clothes if he did it, which he probably did.
Yeah. So, but regardless, Chris was indicted for the murder of Peter Porco in November of 2005. And finally, in July of 2006, this case went to trial. The defense brought something very interesting to the table. They introduced reasonable doubt by introducing the possibility of the killer being someone retaliating against Chris's uncle. So Peter's brother, Frank, his name was Frank the Fireman Porco. And he was a captain in the Bonanno crime family. So Frank was an FDNY fireman for years and years, and then also was in the mob. And they called him...
Well, you gotta have a cover-up story. You know, this is where my money comes from.
Yeah, so they called him Frank the fireman. So the defense argued that since the murder weapon was a fireman's axe, this could be one of Frank's enemies who did this to send him a message. It's an interesting theory, but I don't really buy it. Frank was in prison at the time for extortion, and I just feel like it's a little far-fetched.
Well, as the defense, you got to give something.
Yeah, it's true. They had to.
Was Frank still alive?
Yeah, Frank was in prison.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You probably said that and I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
All right.
He was in prison for extortion.
There's probably 2 other people listening to this podcast that didn't hear that. Like, oh, all right, he was in prison.
So anyway, interesting theory. It's all they brought to the table, but that's really the only reasonable doubt that they could introduce. The jury only deliberated for a half hour before convicting Chris to second-degree murder, which I don't understand, really. I don't necessarily understand why he got second-degree murder, because if it was like a murder that was planned and he did it, and I guess they have to prove that he planned it ahead of time, maybe. I don't know. But
Are
anyway.
the consequences less severe for second degree?
Yes.
Well, even if it's second degree and he did the dad, but now he's going to get something for doing the mom too. Whoever did the dad did the mom.
No, he didn't get any charges for his mom's injuries.
But that's the same person.
He was put on trial. No, he didn't, though. He was just convicted of second-degree murder for the killing of his father, and that's it. And
so you're allowed to hit someone with an axe 3 times, but not 16 times.
But if the mom is saying it wasn't her son and she's not pressing charges against him as the killer or as the, person who did this, then maybe that's why.
She was sleeping.
I don't know. So
this is why when your kids ask for chicken nuggets, just give them the damn chicken nuggets, even if they're fat. Because who knows what they're going to do to you when you're sleeping.
So anyway, he was sentenced to 50 years in prison. His poor mother stood by his side, and to this day, she still supports her son and maintains his innocence, which makes me really sad.
What was his sentence?
50 years.
And how old was he? Do you know?
Oh, well, he was in college, so he'll be
so
70-something.
He was 20-ish.
Yeah, so he'll probably be
also,
70.
If he lives to 70, he's going to get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a second-degree murder, I think you don't get life for that.
Damn.
So he got 50 years.
Well, hopefully he dies in jail anyway. Healthcare can't be that good in there, and they feed you
the worst
food. But you should feed him, I don't know, whatever.
So he sits in Clinton Correctional Facility in upstate New York. Well, he will remain there until 2052. And yeah.
We should hit him up.
No, I don't want to talk to him.
It's not that far. I'll go talk to him.
Nah, I don't want to talk to him.
Well.
Fuck that dude. No thanks.
I'm a huge fuck that dude. But no fucking dudes. That's terrible. Well, unless you like to, but not me.
You're digging yourself a lot of holes.
Yeah, as we say in New York, pause.
So this is called parricide. And I found it really interesting, a couple facts around parricide. Parricide is when you kill your parents. And it's actually 1% of homicides is parricide. And
what?
Yeah, 1%.
So right now, if you're listening to this with your children, look over at your kids and try to figure out if one of them was going to get you, which one, and be careful.
True. Well, overwhelmingly, it's white people.
But white people do all the stupid killings that are on these things. We rarely have black people killing.
It's true. And it's usually always middle or upper middle class white people who kill their parents.
People that are struggling struggle together and bond together, but you have the little rich kids like, oh, you got me a Honda instead of a Mercedes or something.
It's funny. I actually typed on my paper, so they are spoiled brat white kids that do this kind of shit.
I'm not having kids because I guess I'm kind of middle class, and that means my kids might kill me.
Oh, no, they won't.
No, because I would kill them
well,
first.
You just got to sleep with one eye open.
And so that means when I go to sleep, I'd sleep with the door locked. They can't be coming in. I'm dead ass serious.
No, this story really...
Because obviously I'd have a white kid because I'm white, so...
and I'm white. So.
Or adopt a black kid and then have a higher chance of being able to sleep in peace.
This story is really sad, though, because, you know, like, not only did he kill his dad, he tried to kill his mother, and then his mother didn't die, and so then he manipulated her to support him, and he killed her husband.
Dude, now I
It's
wonder
so sad.
if the mom's like visiting him and stuff and bringing him stuff.
She was with him in court. Like, she sat next to him. She like fully supports him.
She'd be an interesting interview.
I know.
But regardless, she's torn. Her husband's dead. Her son is in jail. Her face is probably mutilated.
It's not too bad, actually. I'll put a picture of her face up. It's not terrible. She's got a lot of scars, but it's not mutilated.
Wow.
Yeah, they did a good job with the surgery, honestly. So anyway, sleep with one eye open, folks.
If you're a white person, don't trust your children. Lock the door before you go to sleep. Shit.
Right. Well,
I guess.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, we're ending this. And, you know, we got a lot of stuff, right?
Got a lot of what's...
We got merch and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Check us out on Wife of Crime Pod.
We haven't talked
on
about...
Instagram.
We haven't talked about merch in a while. We got, like, True Crime and Chill shirts. We got some other shirts over there. We got mugs, Wife of Crime mugs.
Yeah.
You go on wifeofcrime.com, and there's a merch link that I can't find, but Jess says is there. I can never find it, whatever.
It's there. And you can go on Instagram, Wife of Crime Pod. We have our link tree in the bio that has all of our links to all of our stuff. And we have our Patreon, which you can join and get ad-free episodes at the $2 tier and up. And you can get bonus content and bonus episodes at the $5 tier and up. And we have Facebook and we have Twitter, and that's it.
Yeah, in the Patreon, Jess gives, like, on a certain level, she'll give her show notes, and there's, like, exclusive stuff we send you through, like, magnets and stuff like that. You know, just typical true crime, corny couple doing a podcast.
All right, everybody. Have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye.
Oh.